I mean, look at that. That's ridiculous. That is exciting. Whew. That's what it's all about. This should be illegal. It's so much fun. Woo! Elk during the rut, when they're bugling, that growl, that loud bugle, when you're in close, 100 yards or less, it feels like it's gonna blow your hat off your head. Nothing that gets my heart going, gets me more excited than being in the zone with elk.
Tim, when you called me and told me you were hunting a herd of over 100 cows and one herd bull in the bunch, I remember what I said. I said, don't even try to kill that herd bull. Go find yourself a good satellite.
Well, and going into the hunt, that was my mind frame because I knew how hard that would be until I actually laid eyes on what we called the sword bull. I know you've been in that situation, and most guys have. You see one animal and you just become fixated on it, and it's that animal or nothing, and that's exactly what happened on this hunt.
Yeah, and I can see why.
This year, I drew a special permit in Wyoming. I'd been building points for 4 years. I knew where I wanted to go, and it wasn't your typical elk spot. It wasn't going out around Jackson or Yellowstone and the Rockies. It was coming to southeast Wyoming, around Cheyenne. I was going to hunt with my good friends Scott and Angie Denny at Table Mountain Outfitters. Got a really good friend out here, Doug Stoltz, who's one of the guides. We've hunted a bunch together. And he and I have been talking for years that I needed to build some points and come out and do this archery elk hunt.
Tim had been out with us deer hunting several years, and I've always told him, what's the first thing you do? Listen to your guide. Well, he finally listened to me, and he finally decided to put in for an archery elk tag. And he got to see what we really have out here and experience the great bulls.
There he is, there he is, there he is. Now this elk hunt in southeast Wyoming is pretty atypical. You don't have the big mountain ranges, but the ranches that Table Mountain have got some good sized hills on them. They got great elk habitat, everything from aspen thickets to the pines to sage flats, a lot of water in the bottom. So they've always grown real good elk. It's mid-September. We're in southeast Wyoming with Table Mountain Outfitters. It's 86 degrees today, of course, with me. We're going to set record highs and have terrible weather. It's windy. We've got a big forest fire over here on the adjoining property. As hot as it is, they're really shut down. It'll be a late afternoon thing. We're going to have to try to just ease into them and see what happens. I don't think there's going to be a lot of calling or responding on today, and maybe tomorrow it's supposed to be 85, but later in the week it's supposed to drop down some. So we'll see what happens.
We kind of changed our tactic and went in and did the spot and stalk. We'd slip in real close, get real close to the cows, and just let things happen. And that's a great way to get a big bull. You're not going to call that big bull away from the herd unless you're in his zone. Doug had been looking for this big non-typical bull that he had seen earlier before we got there. He had
known the bull from the year before, had a big, huge 6-point side. The other side had a drop tine and a big sword beam coming off of him. Huge body, old bull, and that was the one he really wanted us to go after. And once I heard him and saw him out there,
this bull was unique in that he was an older bull. He's probably in that 7 to 8 year old bull. He was a very dominant bull.
I was in line with Doug. I wanted that bull. There were some other really pretty 6-points, and I'm not saying I would have passed them up, but our bad actor #1 on the hit list was going to be this bull we called the Sword.
The Zone is brought to you by Brown Elms, the world's largest supplier of firearm accessories and gunsmithing tools. Thompson Center, Nikon, Blackhorn 209, DLC Covert Trail Cameras, Under Armour, Lethal Human Scent Elimination, and Bill Jordan's Realtree. Family, friends, and the outdoors. This portion of The Zone is brought to you by Gobble and Grunt Outfitters.
Finally, at one point, we got in there pretty tight. There was a little hidden meadow. The elk were feeding in it. The big bulls were running back and forth. And we got about 60 yards off of where it opened up, and boy, did we get a show. The big sword bull was out there bugling. He was running other bulls. The cows were all over the place, and they were in the wide open. We had a beautiful view, but we needed them to get just a little closer. There were a number of times that sword bull was at 65, 68 yards, and I'm just not that good of an archer.
Oh, he just ran that little 6-pointer out of there.
Going back in, I'll see what happens.
And he figured out that he had a weapon, per se, that no other bull had. That sword was unique, and he knew how to use it and how to keep the other bulls away. He really didn't have to fight. You didn't ever see him really fight. All he had to do was come close, and those other bulls just ran away. So he was a real unique bull in that aspect, and obviously in the way he looked. So
That's the broken bull. Yep, he's in the gap right now, wide open. He just ran because somebody came after him. A beautiful, beautiful 6-point bull that had a snapped side came in there. Some smaller bulls, but the big guy that we needed to get in there just never made that move. And eventually, as happens, especially with a big herd, they're all spread out, a little puff of wind swirled, and they all took off again. But that's part of elk hunting, especially when you're not able to drag them right in your face with a call. Honestly, we didn't know where they went, so we backed off and said, hey, there's another set of hills over here about 3 miles. We're just gonna go over there and see if we can get on any other elk. And 11 o'clock in the morning, here comes a bull just in the wide open around the hill. Beautiful young bull, walks under us at 35 or 40 yards, never knew we were there. I even got a camera out and took some still photos of him. But that's a testament to how many elk they have. You never know what time of day a bull can walk right out in front of you.
Tim, you're living every elk hunter's dream here. You've got peak rut, bugling bulls, and you're getting in close to them. But it looks like that sword bull might have finally gave you the slip.
Yeah, you know, the wind is key, and when they got a whiff of us, they were gone. There were some hills 3 miles away. We decided to go check out new country, see if we could find some new elk, but the whole way over there, all I could think about was getting back to hunt that sword bull. Lo and behold, we got up on top of that hill, found some elk, and after we sat down and started glassing, it was the same herd we'd lost. They'd covered all that ground, and we were right back in them.
My luck never works that way.
starting to get close on time, running out of daylight, and the bugling was insane at 100 yards. We could see the elk. They stayed 75 yards away. We could see the big sword bull back about 100 yards. There's another big 6-point that had been snapped off on one side. He was running around. A wonderful day of elk hunting, hearing all that bugling, seeing all that action. But I gotta tell you, it's hard when there's 100 elk together. It's hard to make a move on them. It's hard to get in there. So many eyes, ears, noses. There's always gonna be cows or young bulls between you and that big bull. And you just gotta hang with them and hope eventually they make a mistake and you're in the right spot. Finally, time just ran out on us and we didn't get to make a play. But at least we knew where those elk were. We'd been with them all day.
Leave him tonight, come back in the morning and see if we can't get him.
It's 34. And eventually they all came out in this big open draw and we could see it was our original herd from the morning. We'd lost them and lo and behold, they're 3 miles away, but we found them again and we just watched them do their thing. We kind of backed off and they went up, they got settled back in. We made a move with the wind and got around within about 300 yards and decided we were just gonna settle in, sit and see what happened with them and let them make the next move.
No, we were a different elk until the drop time came out. It's a good thing we didn't stay over there trying to wait them out. That's a bunch of elk. They're still coming out.
Boy, Tim, that's a pile of elk. Sure seems like they're staying one step ahead of you, though.
Well, they did, and in this situation, they got a whole valley across from us. They went up there to bed down in the timber, and we didn't have a choice except make about a 1.5 mile circle to get around them and keep the wind in our favor and get up in the timber with them. But once we got there, we did catch a break. The wind picked up, it got a little bit cooler, and it got the elk up early, and they got vocal, so it gave us a chance to make a move. And we just eased in, glassing as we went. We could see elk, we could see a really pretty 6-point bull that was a new bull to the herd, probably a 320 type bull. But the closer we got, the more it sounded like they were up on top of the ridge. We decided we were gonna have to get aggressive and get in front of them, so we took off.
Closed captioning provided by Bog Pod, the sticks with the red grips. This portion of the zone is brought to you by the Magnum Hunt Club.
We decided we were gonna have to get aggressive and get in front of them. Boy, when we came over that top, my heart sank. It was that buckbrush, head high, all over the place. And I was dreading trying to get through that, thinking, boy, this is gonna be hard if it does work to even get a shot. And then I could see around the corner that big sword. And I decided then and there, I didn't care what other bulls were around, we were gonna make a play on that sword bull. Sword. It's 34.
You smoked it. Yeah! Oh. Dude!
We have spent 4 days trying to get on this big non-typical. We have been 75 yards 10 times from it. And finally in this thick stuff, it just happened. I don't think he's gone down yet, but it looked like a real good hit to me. He looks pretty sick.
You know, you practice all summer. It's all for that one opportunity. There's not a whole lot in the hunting world that comes up with the emotion of that. I'm usually not a wild, crazy guy when I take an animal. I've got a lot of respect for every animal we hunt. But I tell you, after you put in 3 or 4 days and you're not sure if it's gonna happen and you watch that arrow bury up to the fletchings in a big bull elk, a lot of stuff can come out emotionally. And I mean, Doug and I both, you know, just as soon as we saw where that arrow hit, we were both up and hugging each other and yelling, and it was just like an explosion. That's why we all go out there, not just to kill animals, but it's that emotion and all that goes into it that culminates in that one moment when it does work and when it comes together. And that's special, and I think all hunters appreciate that and know that's why we're out there, and that's part of being in the zone.
That's why he was named the Sword. That big drop tine. That's what we were talking about yesterday.
How long that was.
But look at
Unusual. Look at that.
Look at that. Big old split in the back. That is one big old
Look at the body. That's an old bull. Last year we saw him and couldn't get on him. Just, oh yeah, yeah. What a bull.
Look at that. I mean, it holds him up.
Look at this.
That's by far the biggest brow tine I've ever killed. I don't know. That thing is phenomenal. I just never thought, you know, we've been so close for 3 days. He always stays just farther, all the little ones. I never thought.
Yeah, and he always stayed in the middle. You know, he knew it. He's an old guy.
He was in the middle there.
Yeah.
We'd had some come by and there was some behind. It just meant to happen.
Exactly. It worked out perfect. I mean, how often do plans like that work? It was
Very
just,
for me.
yeah, me either.
What's up, guys?
Hats off, Tim. I consider that one of the hardest things in elk hunting, extracting the herd bull out of that many animals.
Now, we caught a break. I mean, we put our time in after that one bull, and when the opportunity arose, we took advantage of it and cashed in. Got a good shot and got a great bull. But the rest of this story that we don't see here is that Scott and Angie Denny, the owners of Table Mountain Outfitters, were guiding another client that day, and we didn't know it, but 200 yards down the ridge, out of the same herd, they got into a bunch of fighting bulls, and their client killed another great 6x6. So within 200 yards, within 5 minutes, we came out with 2 great trophy bulls.
The Zone is brought to you by Firefly, Hunt the Wind, Gobble and Grunt Outfitters, Brownells, OutfittersRating.com, Rax Mineral, and the Magnum Hunt Club. Your adventure is our business.